Hey y'all, Michelle Johnson here and welcome back to my studio. In my previous video, I had planned to do this huge dive into tempera sticks that included trying them out with a wide variety of materials on top of the tempera sticks. Turns out that experiment went way longer than I thought, was way more fascinating than I thought. And so I decided that it was best, even though I had planned to film that as a full-on deep dive that went all the way through what I did in my last video, which was swatching them, getting ready for a light fastness test, showing you how I use them in my sketchbooks, and then showing you how I was helping, they were helping me not be such a Scrooge this holiday season. That was gonna turn into like an hour-long video. I still think that that's a lot of really important and interesting information, but an hour is a long time to watch a video before you get started actually making some art. So I decided that I was going to split that in half. Today, we're going to talk about how other media works on top of tempera paint sticks. I hope that you're here from last week, and if you're not and you missed last week's video, go back and look at that after you've watched this one. They don't have to be together, or maybe they do. I don't know. It depends on how you like to do things. If you're a concrete sequential person, or if you're a come what may, let's just see spontaneous kind of person. I love both kinds of people. So let's see what goes on top of tempera paint sticks by KINGART. I found out some really cool stuff. To prepare for my media test, all I did was take some spare bit of acrylic paper and just had a fun time messing around with the paint sticks. No patterns that I was thinking of. I was willy-nilly, scribble scrabble, squiggly wiggly. I did try to smear it a bit, but it was drying really quickly. It's Texas. I had my air conditioning on, even though it was December. So these squiggles have had a chance to dry overnight. That wasn't intentional. I think you could probably write on top or color on top of the tempera sticks faster than that. I think you could do it like when it's dry to the touch. That's just how it happened yesterday, and my schedule is I wasn't going to be able to get to the rest of this video until the following day. I already know, and I will show you examples of that India ink and bamboo nib can draw over the top of tempera paint sticks, and pretty quickly too. Like I wait till it's dry to the touch, so 2 or 3 minutes, and I've drawn over this successfully. I also know that the ink that is in the Pentel brush pen also can draw on this successfully, where there's no color lift off, there's no smearing of the color or a destruction of my art materials. But there's a wide variety of art supplies that I'm super curious to see how this will work with. And as you can see, I tried to lay them all out in an aesthetically pleasing way, and I failed miserably. There's just too many of them. But my brain is super curious about this, so we're gonna follow through on all of those things. Let's see. First off, let's do something simple. Let's find out if a Sharpie, which is an alcohol-based marker, will work. I guess that's Sharpie on Sharpie. Will work over the top of this, over tempera sticks without causing any issues. And it looks like it does. I'm not seeing any smearing of any kind. Let's see. Yeah, you can totally layer on top of this. And in fact, Sharpie, and I don't see any of it coming off on my pen, which is fabulous. Let's try a slightly lighter color. I just put lotion on, so this is going to be difficult to take off tabs. That's kind of fun, y'all, because I'm getting color blends. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. That turns the pink into orange when it goes over the top of that yellow. And it's moving along. Ooh, sorry, this is super exciting to me. I'm not a super big Sharpie fan. I don't like the smell, but I'm really loving the translucency and the color layering that it's making with an optical color blend. So optical meaning it's creating a new color. So there's my bright pink, but then when it's over that cool sparkly blue, it turns into a purple, a subtle purple, and then it goes back to pink. That's an optical color blend versus like if I went like this, and the two colors blended and intermixed together perfectly. So yay, Sharpie goes on top of tempera stick. How about, let's try a Bic marking. They have a slightly different formula. I think this is also, it's a permanent marker, but I don't know that it's alcohol because Bic does not have any odor, which is why they are my preferred permanent marker. And it seems to do just fine as well, and also has an interesting transparency effect. That is super cool. So we do know permanent marker, which this is an alcohol. Don't know what this is. It can't possibly be alcohol because it doesn't smell, but it must be something similar, a solvent like alcohol. So these work great. Awesome. You gotta try paint with paint. So let's see if the ever famous Posca works. I'm gonna shake up a couple and see. I was trying to choose colors that I thought would, whoa, okay, there. Would, well, let me get a piece of paper here real quick. Pump the marker, make sure it's working. Yeah. Trying to choose colors that would look good on film. All right, and the opacity of the Posca covers over. And I am not seeing any marker, or excuse me, any of the tempera coming off. This is so cool, everyone. Okay, this is terribly exciting. Lay down a giant swath of tempera stick and you can color over it really successfully with a Posca. Let's try black. Really, honestly, one of my favorite marker, or not marker, pen, Posca pen colors is the black because it's so opaque. It just obliterates everything. So if you want to block stuff out in your mixed media work, it works. All right, and it's not picking up anything. That's awesome. Don't need to try the purple. Posca and tempera sticks work great. Now let's do, I'm going to switch this over. So in the center will be a new, excuse me, plate. Should probably get to watercolor soon. This is a new section, nice clean section. Let's do some different kind of markers. So a Crayola Super Tip is a water-based marker. Maybe I should do purple so you can see. I wonder, because this is a water-based media, this is water-based media. Sometimes the different inks bases work against each other. There's a lot of pens in this world, or ink in this world, that's permanent until you interact with it with alcohol, and then it fades. Okay. I am not seeing any color shift here, and I'm sorry. I did not think that this purple cap would be so pale. Let me try a different super tip. Oh, well, it does say purple gray. I labeled all of my super tips. I have a video all about super tips that I will link down below if you're interested in these markers. I use them in my art practice for thumbnails and trial sketches all the time. I chose the lightest colors. Okay, let's see if this pink is brighter. I just did a grab into my box of super tips. I didn't think about selecting. This is also very pale, but it is working, y'all. It is working. Oh, there's a little bit of a gunky thing there. This is neat. I don't think this is as neat as the alcohol marker, but maybe I just chose the wrong super tips. But I feel like the intensity of the tempera sticks overwhelms the color possibilities with the water-based media of super tips. And this is also on acrylic paper. Super tips work much better on hot press paper. Hot press paper is smooth, and also on drawing paper. But that's interesting. Super tips work. So water-based markers work. This is slightly different. I thought I brought two out. Yes, I did. So this is the Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen and the Staedtler pigment brush pen. These two pens are different from permanent markers, different from water-based Crayola Super Tips. These are pigment-based. So think along the lines of India ink, Sumi ink. These are these are an inky ink pen. They're also much more expensive, which is why I'd like to try them with this and see if, all right, so pigment-based pens also do nicely with, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words as I'm just kind of slowly making lines over this. I don't know why I guess lines show you whether or not something's smudging, which is why I'm doing lines. So the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen, which is pigment-based, works just great with a tempera stick. Let's see if the formula that's in the Staedtler Pigma, I think they call these Pigmas, let's see. No, it's also called Pigment. Pigment with a T. How this goes. All right, that's working well too. No color lift. So tempera and markers of all kinds work just fine. So if you're a Copic person, they should also, I'm not a Copic person. I just never have had the finances. But Copic are an alcohol-based marker. So if Sharpies work, I can't see why Copics wouldn't work with tempera sticks. That's really cool. So all these markers work fine with tempera sticks. Let's see, what else did I, oh wait, I had one more marker. So this is a watercolor pen that's diigment. Diigment. I have no idea where that collection of letters pushed together came from. Dye-based pigment is what the Zig Clean colors are. So similar to like a watercolor, but it's not watercolor. Dye-based means that it's it will fade, but they're super fun. But they're water-based, and you put water in them, and they work in the sense of watercolor, but they are not watercolor. All right, I am not seeing any colors smoothing. Well, that's a water-based pen right there. If I went over that, well, it doesn't do it a whole lot, but the two of these being both water-based pens, they would work together to make a new color. Okay, so that's working. So you can use a dye-based pen, a pigment-based pen, an alcohol pen, and a water-based pen. That is super fun to know about tempera. Over here, I think I got my water. I got a dirty palette, which is my favorite way to test something, so I don't have to start anew, but I did not get a paintbrush. That was silly. Here I am. All right, oops. Sorry about that. Let's see, I want to spritz this first. Oh, of course. What do we have in the palette? We have black cat hair. That would be, see right there? Evidence of Mr. Knightley. Okay, let me get my spray bottle. Moisten this up. These should be pretty bright. I am not one for just rinsing out my palette down the sink. I save palettes that have significant amounts of paint in them for quite a while. Let's make a new color. And I play with it. It's a good way for like warm-ups. It's a good way to create, like if you wanted to tone a page in your sketchbook, just take some paint and make a color. I cannot waste paint, y'all. I have no problem theoretically wasting paper, but I just can't waste paint. I don't know what that's about. Oh wait, here's my, ooh, I'm running out of desk space. Here's my clean spot. Let's see. Oh, I just made an orange color, and oh well, we're just gonna go with it. Ooh, we've got a little bit of resist going on with the tempera, but I am not seeing, let's see what plain water does. I'm not seeing any movement of the pigment, which is great. Oh, there's more Mr. Knightley hair right there. There we go. Let's see. I'm going to try a different color since I can't see this over here, but I've got this really kind of vibrant. Well, it looks like it might have been vibrant at one time when I was using it. I don't even remember what the painting was that I was using this palette on. It's been that long. See how purple goes. Oh, it's not vibrant anymore. This is a watery purple. But I'm not after the color here. I am after finding out whether or not the pigment or the tempera sticks I am making a really many mess work, and they do. They work great as a base underneath. Then you have watercolor, and there is just a smidgen resist. I wouldn't call it the same kind of resist that you get if you had a waxed crayon or wax pencil, but there's a bit of a resist. Okay, so we got watercolor works with tempera. I had one more, I think it was just one more. Let me look around at my, oh no, I had two. So I had a fine liner, which should work because this is pigment ink in the Unipin fine liner, and I wanted to see what crayons would be like if the crayon, wax crayon, would adhere. I feel like while I'm pausing, y'all, is I'm like, oh, where's my empty space? Okay, so down here, make sure I'm on camera still because I'm crowded out by art supplies. Not a bad thing. There we go. Let's see how we do. Oh, fun. So crayon, oh, interesting. And it does do a little bit of a color blend because that color isn't quite the same as the teal. What color is this? This is blue-green is what I chose. So it blends together almost because that's definitely a color blend there. I wonder if over here it would make a, yeah, makes kind of a muddy black brownish color. So that's kind of fun. I can see exploring that. All right, so here's yellow. I don't think that's going to show up. Let me see if I can find a dry spot. This is just a giant colorful mess. Let's see, there's some green. That's not wet, is it? No. Okay. All right, crayon and tempera sticks. It works. What would this look like over the blue? All right, this is really fun. So we get, let's just to recap, because this was a lot. Crayons work with tempera paints after dry. Let me start that one more time before I make the list. After dry, the tempera is dry. Crayons work. Water-based markers work. Acrylic-based markers work. Pigment ink-based markers work. Dye-based ink markers work. Who the heck knows what's in a big marking, but it works. Alcohol-based markers work. Oh, and we had the one more. Oh, and watercolor works over the top. Let's just see what a more, this has got a finer tip. I chose a really big one, the size 8. It's not as sharp a point as other, let's see, let's try this one last spot that's kind of dry. See if we can make a, all right, y'all, it draws really nicely over the top. Does it smear? A little smear. So I bet you have to wait. If you do line art with, what? That's the white paper. There's no point in doing that there, Michelle. If you do line art, I think you have to wait a little bit if you're using a fine liner before it might dry. Let's see. Waited a couple of seconds. Not a lot of seconds. It's still a little wet. But that, you know, that's insignificant. It looks to me like if you wait, it will adhere. How about this? Oh, but wait. Nah. This is a Unipin fine liner that's water and fade proof, but not on top of tempera. So that's, oh wow, it can erase it. All right, so that's an interesting thing. Do I have another? What else was pigment ink? What was that? It's Posca. Well, I wonder if Posca would do it. No, Posca stays solid. Where? Okay, this was... Okay, that was a Staedtler. It was either Staedtler or... Where is the... No, that wasn't Staedtler. What's that? That was... Maybe it was Staedtler. Was it green? I'm losing track, y'all. Nope, what is that one? What was... Oh, that was... the Bic marking. You can more water on top of a Bic marking pen, on top of lots of on top of tempera can be lifted. So interesting. So pigment, then this must be a dye-based ink as well then. Let's see, but Posca doesn't lift. I definitely remember that was Posca. Where was, okay, so here we are here. This was, well, I'm going to have to do one more draw. This is going on much longer than I thought. I'm sorry. I'm learning more stuff than I anticipated. That is, where can I find that line? That is, Michelle, I know you guys saw me use that, right? Did it fade as it dried into that color? That's interesting. It doesn't seem to like acrylic paper very much. I think it did. All right, so let's see. All right. Pigment, is that coming up? Can you guys see that? I'm gonna zoom in and do that one more time. This is a pigment-based pen on top of tempera fades, but a pigment-based pen just on paper. Let's see, where's a slightly one on paper? Doesn't budge. Just like here, this is the Bic marking, this is not just on top of paper, doesn't budge. So if, okay, this is going to be a bit, I'm going to definitely put words on the page because this is a lot of information. Pigment-based pens on top of tempera sticks can be smudged and disrupted with water. Not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, just a thing. Acrylic on top of tempera, which is what a Posca pen is, doesn't budge, doesn't go anywhere. That's fascinating. Where was my Sharpie? Did I use the black? I used the bright pink. What does this pink look like? Like that. Okay. Let's try that. I think that was it. And it doesn't lift as easily as the other markers, but I don't know if you see what I'm seeing. The pink off of the blue tempera paint is disappearing. Fascinating. Very cool. Very, very cool. And I know this is a water-based paint that will lift because that's, I mean, it's supposed to be able to lift so that you can blend the colors. That's the whole point of real brush pens. Wow, that's super fun. Okay, to briefly recap, all of the things that we used on top of tempera paint sticks works beautifully. Water on top of some of these things, except for the Posca pen, is not permanent. You can lift it. It will disintegrate the pigment and move it apart. So we learned a lot today from that bit of color play, which is why I do not think of this as wasting paper. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that the reason I started to want to create a whole video around these sticks was because I had started using them very, very differently. I've been creating those packages that we just did together for quite some time now. I don't like wrapping, and these tempera sticks have brought a little joy into the wrapping of the gifts that I do absolutely enjoy purchasing for my friends and family. But this particular year, I don't really know where the impetus came from. Maybe it was just had to go fast. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why I started to pull these sticks out for a different reason, but it started at the end of November. I paint my pumpkins, or I draw my pumpkins that we collect because we are big lovers of decorative gourds every year, and I like to, you know, give them a little bit of a space in my sketchbook each year. At the end of November, my husband says, "It's time. I'm going to make them into delicious food. You either draw them now or forever hold my peace." So that's what I did, and I drew them multiple times, but the one time that this particular sitting, I drew them 3 different styles, 3 different ways with 3 different materials, and my favorite ended up being this sketchbook page that I use. This is tempera sticks, so I just kind of played with my tempera sticks on a blank piece of paper, And then this is a Black Cat India ink over the top, and it went beautifully. I did a little bit of smudging here, because remember, these are not water soluble. These are like an acrylic paint. You can't reactivate them. There is a little bit, what you see here, this gray, and this is not only tempera paint sticks. The color that you see, even the background, that's tempera. The lines are India ink. And then the gray, the shadow work that I did and the detail work, that is a brush pen. That is a gray brush pen. I think it was water soluble ink, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I was just like really excited by this. So skip to a week later when we're out in our neighborhood, and we run across a neighbor that has a persimmon tree full of gorgeous fruit. And we love persimmons. We are a persimmon family. These are persimmons that we brought home from Costco. These are the persimmons that were grown here in my neighborhood by a resident that I shall call a neighbor, although I just met that day, that happened to be a persimmon lover. All the color you see, save right here. This is watercolor right here, and save the gray. Everything else is tempera, y'all. That's tempera paint sticks. So I am layering on top. This is the white, creating my highlights. I'd laid color first, so I color blocked in and then I sketched over the top. And I really love not just the line work, how the line work looks, but this, I guess it's now we can say, is the transparency of the colors going on top of each other. Now this graying here that you see, that is watered down India ink. So that is not tempera. I don't have a gray tempera stick, but everything that turned out there, I feel like the magic, the vibrancy, this is a mixing of colors. I think I had yellow over here, orange over here, red, and the brown and the greens, and I think I even put some neon in here because I just wanted to see. I am really in love with the kind of vibrancy that I can create in my work, and I want to know, and I will soon, if I can use these in a more substantial way, in something that doesn't get protected from UV by the mechanism of being in a sketchbook. I am so surprised at how many art supplies go over and work really well with tempera sticks. I mean, look at this. This is exciting, or at least it's exciting to me, that just about every other art supply mark making tool I can think of and that I have in the studio works really friendly with these. Save a couple of rules, like don't add water at the end of your process because it will be like the Wicked Witch. It's going to melt. But as a general rule, most art supplies work really nicely with tempera sticks. I think that's exciting for the future. I do plan on using these in more substantial outside of my sketchbook art pieces. I think I'm going to have to wait until I find out about my light fastness tests, and I think it's worth the wait. It's going to be about, oh gosh, it's almost the end of the year. It's going to be about 6 months, but I can handle that. Thank you for joining me on 2 whole videos on the KINGART Tempera stick. That really means a lot to me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you think that there's someone in your life who might appreciate the kind of work that I do here on Half Color Will Travel, who likes the information that I share and the opinions about art supplies that I share, please then share this video and my channel with them. It does me a huge service and I really, really appreciate it. Y'all, it is almost the end of the year. So keep it creative all the way until the very end. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. And remember how I said I couldn't waste paint, but I could waste paper? I couldn't waste that color play. I turned it into 2 pockets for one of my recent handmade sketchbooks. It doesn't fit much. I'm not sure exactly what I'll put in there, but I put a favorite quote, "To see takes time," by Georgia O'Keeffe at the front of the sketchbook, and a favorite quote, "Focus on the next strike, not the last," by Tairn. My perfect nerdy sketchbook, and I love it. Happy New Year, y'all.